Hello, you multi-layered medley muddlers. It's a malt mention. I'm Ralphie in the bothy, and a big malt mention thank you to Willem Killian, who's a regular malt mention provider, absolutely, and a pat pal. Welcome to the bothy. I'm Ralphie. This is Ralphie Review 958 extras. And with this extras, I am giving additional information, perspective, opinion, etc. over and above the orthodox spirit reviews that I normally do. And in doing so, I'm simply giving you some more information to think about, to be aware of, and to consider to actually improve the quality of your whisky journey. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how we get the knowledge. Where do we go to find out what we need to know and what we want to know before we start spending money? Excuse me, festive decorations. Oh, got to make the place look cheerful now and again. Hopefully it's not going to get too much in the way. Nah, it's fine. And what was I talking about? Yes, I remember what I'm talking about. Getting the knowledge. And it can be quite daunting because we tend to start perhaps in a bar or getting a gift of a bottle of a whisky from a friend or family or from anybody who's been generous in providing a birthday present or a Christmas present, New Year present, Diwali present, any kind of gift. Any reason. Because a bottle of single malt whisky is considered something special. Whereas, you know, every weekend if you're going out, you'll have some blend, you'll have some rum, vodka, you'll have your pint of beer, glass of wine. But single malts tend to be kept for special occasions. And the more special occasions we create for ourselves, frankly, the better. Because life ain't no dress rehearsal. And one of the fascinations and the opportunity we've got these days is to gather that information a lot more quickly than we used to do for a number of reasons. And I'm going to come across the different sources of information and give a brief resume of them, an explanation about them. So we'll probably start when we go out to buy a bottle of whisky. We'll look online, we'll buy online, or we'll go to a shop. Now, if you buy in a supermarket or online in Amazon or a specialist whisky retailer, you're not speaking to anybody. You're going in the information they provide, and there's many online whisky shops, the specialists ones. They will provide you some flavour profile of the whisky. They may even give you some other customer ratings about it. And these are a useful point of reference. But it's when you go into a specialist whisky shop that if you're lucky, and I have to add, it's not always the case, malt mates. You've got someone behind the till that actually knows what they're talking about. But in many specialist retailers, particularly the successful ones, they have someone behind the till who can advise you, who can direct you, who can inform you about the different profiles of a whisky. And if you ask the person, you know, I'm looking for a bottle of whisky, what do you recommend? One of the first things they should ask you is, well, what's your preference? What's your taste? Do you like peated whisky or non-peated whisky? Do you like bourbon matured whiskies or sherry matured whiskies? Do you like light flavoured whiskies? Or do you like very heavy, intense flavoured whiskies? So a light flavoured whisky, for example, could be Glenfiddich, and a heavy flavoured whisky could be, for example, Edredeur. But you've got all these ones right in the middle there. Oh, the sheer complexity, not just of the signatures of the distilleries, but all the permutations of these signatures in different finishes, port wood, wine wood, sherry wood, double rum woods, Chateau de Chems. It really is quite confusing because the range of options is far, far wider than it was, say, even 20 years ago, where people were a lot more conservative and would stick with their brand, so they had a lot more brand loyalty. And now, although it still exists, it's less important than it used to be. So people, in other words, are, rather than sticking to their brand because they feel it's a safe bet until they perhaps get disappointed by a bad batch, people will start exploring. And we'll come to that shortly, with where we start exploring. Because when you've been to the shop, you're looking at advertising. Every bottle label, every bottle shape, every bottle label colour, every price that they've got is a form of advertising. And you'll see advertising perhaps in airports and on posters, bill posters. You'll see advertising in mainstream television, newspapers, yeah, that's another source of advertising. And that will initially at the beginning be used as a point of reference. But it doesn't last long, because the purpose of advertising is not to tell you what you need to know as a customer. It's to tell you what the producer wants you to know from their perspective, purely to generate your custom in the form of sales. So when we move on from shops and the advertising in shops, advertising outside and all the media, we might get a notion to visit a distillery. And it is reasonable, it's feasible actually, whichever country you're in the world, that you have access at some point to go for a distillery visit. And at this point, it's a learning process, because as well as actually taking in the sounds and the smells and the environment of a distillery, it's an opportunity to see how the whiskey's made. And rather than get an explanation through a book or online, to actually be in the thick of it there's no better environment to actually learn and become aware. And this is where you feel the heat of the stills. You have the information and knowledge provided by the tour guide, so long as they're giving you a decent tour. And bear in mind, tours do vary, and distilleries vary in the form of tours they provide. So if you go to a great big famous distillery like Glenfiddich, you're going to get a very generic tour. It'll be competent, and it will be professional. But you're getting something that's a bit cookie cutter. Whereas if you go to a small distillery like Benromach, for example, you're going to get probably a more personalised tour that actually gets you closer to the actual point of production. In other words, you may actually get to see inside the warehouses. And never forget, maltmates, whiskey is not made in distilleries. Never let them tell you that. Whiskey is made in warehouses. It's New Make Spirit, it's Cleric, it's Raw British Spirit. That's made in distilleries. But whiskey, it's in the warehouses. And it is a very inactive procedure that takes years. And that's why we're prepared to pay the premium for it. So we're learning a lot from distilleries, and we may even end up going to whisky festivals, which I actually forgot to write in my list here. It was getting a bit crowded anyway. Whisky festivals are an amazing opportunity to learn about whisky, because you're talking to people behind the tables who really know their subject, and if they don't, you'll soon become aware of it. And they're pouring you samples because you've paid a ticket, the price at the front door, and they're pouring you little samples so you can literally taste and try before you buy, on a scale which is impossible in a bar and completely unrealistic in a specialist retail shop. So whisky festivals, this is where you're really starting to generate your own palate awareness, to improve your sense of smell, because you're just going through a whole stack of different tiny portion samples of whisky. So as you can see the difference, the permutations, the variations, the styles, the difference between chill filtered and non-chill filtered. This is where you really learn. And I highly recommend, in your whisky journey, within the first couple of years of getting started, get yourself to a whisky festival. And also, you might want to buy some books. There are some perfectly professional, competent and highly informative books written by proper traditional experts, the likes of Charlie MacLean and Dave Broom. And these are books that I highly recommend to you. Once you've bought, get the big book, the comprehensive book, because once you've bought one book, you'll find that other books are a variation in the theme, generally. And you may also look on Netflix, BBC, documentary channels, Discovery channels, wherever you are, have a look and see what's available there. But I'm telling you right now, you won't find much. When it comes to informative films about whisky, they're remarkable in the amount of aesthetics that they present without any reasonable, tangible content. And that's the nature of it. And then, I know you're already ahead of me in this, because even before you went to the shops, you've been online. Online is the single most valuable whisky information or spirits information resource you will find. Importantly, you're now engaging with people who are not experts generally. They're enthusiasts. And they have some knowledge, and they're transferring the knowledge to you in the form of videos. Think about videos, yeah, in the form of video, and also when you're online, you might join a forum, a like-minded group of enthusiasts, and they can get very, very specialist, by the way, so they become friends. But just like if you were in a football club, you've got a group of friends who play football. If you're in a fishing club, you've got a group of friends whose common interest is fishing. And in these clubs, information and experience is very readily shared. When you're online in the online forums, you will find, without doubt, that your whisky friends are often a remarkable, unprecedented source of information, advice, and giving you direction as to better quality, better value whiskies and other spirits. And then you have traditional blogs, the likes, for example, of the amazing whisky library that is whiskyfun.com. And it's an incredible resource. It's one of the finest whisky moments, actually, it's now online, and we hope, fingers crossed, that it never disappears, because already it's giving historical perspective, because it's been going a long time, a little bit longer than my channel. Actually, I've been going almost 14 years, so even when I look back in my own early video reviews, they're starting to look historical, and this gives you an even bigger perspective that you really don't find anywhere else unless you go to a fine and rare old vintage whisky tasting festival. And other blogs include Whisky Base for a big group consensus and average voting system. It's a useful point of reference. And you've got new ones just popped up, like Dramface, which I'm giving a wee punt out to because it's my co-host of the online Scotch Whisky Awards, Roy Duff, who is one of the founders behind Dramface, and they're getting a collective group of enthusiastic people from within the industry and out with industry who really care about whisky, and getting them to write about it and review whiskies. So dramface.com, and of course, did I mention the OSWIS? Yes, I did. The oswa.co.uk, the online Scotch Whisky Awards, where experienced people online who are active online and related to whisky will provide a short list of nominations in different categories, which are then thereafter open to global public vote, so that any of the finalists in the OSWIS, whichever year it is going to be highly recommended whisky for you to look out for. Then finally there's the vlogs, the video ones. That's where I come in. That's my job. Video whisky reviews, video documentaries. Just look through YouTube in particular. the distilleries still don't make full use of online video formatting and content. Just a walkthrough of a distillery is an amazingly informative for distilleries you can't actually reach out and get to and visit because they're in different countries. So there's quite a number of channels do the video content. A lot of channels now, still growing. Everybody's contributing something useful. Every single video maker relating to whiskey, they contribute something useful. And enthusiasm, information, presentation, giving you marks, giving you references, and best of all, simply giving an opinion. And there we have it. You're looking for information. I know fundamentally what you're looking for, Mottmates. You're looking to avoid buying bad whiskies, and you want to focus on buying good whiskies which represent good value for money. So when you pour a glass and you smell it and you taste it, and an hour later you're saying to yourself, I'm glad I bought that. I'm really enjoying it. It's all about quality, not quantity. I'm not going to get pissed. I'm not going to get drunk. I'm not going to finish the bottle in one night. I'm a different kind of drinker. I'm on a slow journey where I really enjoy the beauty of the landscape presented to me inside a glass. It could be whiskey, it could be rum, it could be bourbon, could be rye, could be brandy, could be cognac, could be Armagnac, mezcal, palinka. There are so many choices out there, so many permutations of spirits, and as the world shrinks to a global village, the access and availability to these spirits, which were completely beyond our radar even a few years ago, they're on our radar now, and it makes our journey all the more interesting. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, click like, subscribe, all the nice things, leave a comment. And I've also got a Patreon channel, just to remind you, Patreon, patreon.com. Ralphie, if you want to subscribe there, just a wee dram a month. It's up to yourself. You get additional content, additional videos, and my bi-monthly live stream. And thank you for watching. Bye.